Hi, it's Ranbir. Welcome back. If it's your first time visiting my channel, hello, and thank you for joining our community here on this little corner of the internet. The channel is all about learning to like your family. And what does that mean? Why do I talk about learning to like your family? Because the truth of the matter is, and you and I can probably agree on this, we love our families very, very, very much. But sometimes we don't really like our families. And the theme of the work that I do has everything to do with learning to like yourself and the people that you have the closest relationships to. I am a TEDx speaker of a speech called Building Strong Children. I am a podcaster, now a YouTuber. Wow. And I have a book called Aligned. It's a journal. You can check that out on Amazon. And I am here to talk to you today about forgiveness. And I have some notes that I made because I want the flow of these live sort of recordings to be very natural. But I'm human. And so some of the stuff I've written down on my little iPad here. And it's forgiveness is an interesting topic. And I'd like to take a different angle on forgiveness today, if that's okay with you. What I'd like to talk about is when your kids make mistakes and they apologize to you, are you able to, in the moment, forgive them? And most of us will answer yes to that question. Most of us can say, okay, yeah, I forgive you. Please, please and thank you. Don't do that again, blah, 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 blah. And then the kid does it again. Like the same mistake happens. And sometimes, quite frankly, this is not just about kids. You and I know that, right? Like that's a little sort of inside secret. So what happens is the human errs again. And so when they ask for your forgiveness again, are you able to forgive them in that moment for that particular act? Or when you're forgiving them or trying to forgive them for that act in the moment, are you in your mind and body and spirit recounting all the other mistakes they've made in their past? Super important, because we're here to talk about strengthening the relationships under your roof. And, you know, as we know, some families have multiple homes that they go between. So it's not just under one roof. That's sort of a metaphor for under your roof means with your family. So what happens? What happens to your relationships when you can't focus on just that one incident and you've got this sort of backlog of heaviness to bring to the table? It's heavy. It's hard. It's hard because some of the human side of us wants to give all this proof of why this relationship is suffering. Here's all the reasons and all the mistakes you've made in the past and all this justification. But when we do that, it's really detrimental to those close relationships, because the truth of the matter is, when you ask for forgiveness in the moment, you're asking for forgiveness for that particular scenario. And if you accept the apology and you say, I forgive you, then it's an opportunity for you to learn how to practice putting that to bed and letting it go. So if the situation arises again where the child or partner or ex makes the same mistake, you need to be in the present moment and focusing on the present scenario rather than bringing the baggage to the table. Why? Why? If you don't, that means the first time you forgave them or anytime you forgave them for anything, it's not authentic. You are not authentically accepting that they made the error. You're saying, I forgive you, but you don't really mean it. And so what kind of programming is that teaching your kids? How is that setting them up to relate to other people? What does that do to them? Because The reality of forgiveness between others is always a reflection of how we speak to ourselves. So, quite often, I know when I was going through those days when I really beat on myself and I would pretend like I forgave myself or something, but the next time I made a mistake, I would drag all of the old errors forward. So, my inner critic would say, "Here, look at all of the reasons you are a failure. Look at all of the reasons why you're not worthy of being loved or accepted. Look at all of this." So when I recognized that that was my internal dialogue, it made me aware that that's probably present in my relationships with other people. And when I went to go look for it, I did this some time ago before having kids. I found it so easily. Like, so anytime I'd have a fight with my husband, I would bring it all to the table, and then the fights would go on and on and on and on. You know, those endless ones? I was so good at them. And it just didn't serve me. But that was a reflection of my state. So then you fast forward to having kids, and then here you're having this dialogue, and you're like, "Oh, I forgive you for breaking that glass." And then the next time they might have forgotten to take out the trash, and you're like, "You're so irresponsible. Last time you broke the glass, and now you didn't take out the trash." Blah, blah, blah. So you bring it, and then it changes the story and the conversation about the mistake that was made. And I heard this really great thing. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this. I'm breaking up the word mistake into mistake. So like a missed take, like an actor would make. So instead of looking at it like this permanent thing, it's just a mistake. Get the opportunity to redo and take the take again. You don't see movies with like somebody stopping and having this rant about how many missed takes the actor had. Like that would be a gong show. But we live our lives that way. We don't allow our lives to be unfolding like a masterpiece in that way. We just put so much pressure on everything being so perfect. You know, look at my notes for a second because I have other stuff to talk about, but I keep sometimes I get going and then I forget. I don't want to miss anything that I've thought about with you. So I think I actually covered all the stuff without even looking at my notes. So forgiveness is one of those big, heavy topics. I've tried to stay really short and sweet with this live recording today. But the point of the matter is learning to give forgiveness in the moment, letting it go, letting it be processed, and then not bringing it forward to the next time your child makes a mistake, your partner makes a mistake, but most importantly, when you make a mistake, learn to apply that old Sufi saying to your inner dialogue. When you need to forgive yourself, ask yourself, is what you're saying to yourself true, kind, and necessary? And the repeating of the old mistakes is definitely unnecessary. So you haven't passed the 3 gates. So you don't want to be talking about that kind of stuff. And then the last thing about forgiveness, and I wrote about this, and you can find the episode on my podcast on Living Light Radio. I wrote a post on forgiveness. There's some things that people do to you that are unforgivable. And my definition of that is things I wouldn't make the mistake of doing myself. So, those would fall into the category of abuse and things like that. So those things, you can work on acceptance. So it's better to accept that those things happen to me rather than trying to forgive something that I believe is unforgivable. There's a whole post on it, and it's a whole different conversation. We'll talk about that another time. But if you're, as a parent, struggling with forgiveness in your household, under your roof, then maybe that's where you start. Maybe you start with acceptance. Accept that all relationships are challenged, flawed, imperfect, whatever you want to call it. They are a work in progress, and they should be a work in progress in the present moment. Learn to be here, focusing on the mistakes here, the bliss here, and so you can move forward without having to go let your inner critic drive the bus. You want to be driving the bus. Your inner champion should be driving the bus. And your kids are watching this They're going to role model it in their own relationships. And it's never too late to change our mind habits. I learned to change a lot of them like later in my life. That's not something that can't be done. So if you have already practiced this, I'm going to forgive you, but then I'm going to bring it all up stuff. And if that's how you've kind of communicated with your child in and around mistakes, don't sweat it. Just audit where you are and make a decision to take one step forward in the other direction towards what you want to feel, what you want your child to feel. Learn to like those relationships and everything changes. So that is my segment on forgiveness, right? Forgive once and then release. I hope that you found this little tidbit helpful. And if you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on the video, share it with your friends and family, and most importantly, go check out our online school. It's at www.innerchampion.me. You can sign up for some free courses there. I've got some free workshops. And then we also have our on-demand Building Strong Children's course and some other stuff that's going to be coming up soon. So hope you will go check it out, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in and bearing with me while I try this new format, because it's all new to me, and I appreciate your patience. Thank you.